too bad. I got rained on big time today. My hair is absolutely soaked. Check out my feet. Oh geez. Oh, that's so gross. That's disgusting. That's never happened before, so. So this is what happens if you go for a run in the rain and you don't put your hair in a bun. It turns into one giant knot. I don't know how to fix that. And it's kind of got like dried hairspray in it, and I washed it, and like, look at it. It's like all of it is stuck together. Brush the crap out of it. You know what? Half of my hair is still really wet from the run, so I'm just gonna leave it like this. Let it dry for a bit. Look, see? My hair looks fine. There's nothing wrong with my hair. What are you talking about? So I'm back in my room again. Yay! I wanted to make a quick video about my job. So I made a video last week about what I'm doing at Universal Studios Singapore, what my job is, what a day in the life is like. I have a lot of people ask me like, how did you even get that job? How did you work in Japan? How were you working in this country and flying back and forth and that kind of thing? So I thought I'd just put out a little video for any performers or any aspiring dancers, people that would love to travel the world, get paid for it, and get put up in great accommodation, get a great salary, and get to do what they love. So a bit of backstory. When I finished high school, I was 17 years old, and I moved from Brisbane to Sydney, and I did a full-time performing arts college course, 2 years long, and I went to 85 International. It's a great full-time school. If you're ever looking for a full-time performing arts college, please check out 85 International. They're great. And from there I just learned heaps of, like, increased my dancing, singing, acting ability, and I got a diploma. Yay! I don't use the diploma for anything, but you know, it's nice to have something to show for it. I attended an audition. It was just an open casting call. Anyone can go to it for Universal Studios Japan. It was actually my second time auditioning. First time I didn't get it. Second time I did, and it was very, very, very exciting to get my first ever contract. It meant that in like a month after they offered it to me, basically, they paid for me to fly to Japan, and they put me up in accommodation there, and I worked as a face character, which is an actor basically. I was Marilyn Monroe and Princess Fiona and a space princess, Princess Cosmia. And I worked there for 3 years and eventually ended up singing and dancing in the Monsters Rock and Roll Live show. I absolutely loved working there. I loved Japan, and of course I really, really, really loved Universal Studios Japan. It was my first ever big contract, and it fully changed how I thought about the performing industry and the performing world. Because it was my first contract, I didn't know much about what kind of jobs are even out there, what you can do as a performer. But once you kind of just like break through and you get that first job, everything just gets a whole lot easier somehow. You meet the right people, and you can just focus a little bit harder and realize what there is out there to get and how you can get it. So after I finished working at Universal Studios Japan, I took a year off performing in a contract, and I just did a few little jobs here and there, and I was teaching and performing and doing more aerial hoop stuff. And then at the end of that year, I made a demo video of just performances I've done and like dancing in a studio and stuff like that. Made a little video and I sent it off to whatever email address it would send to, basically. So there were cruise ship companies in there were theme parks, there was like casinos around the world. There's all sorts of companies that I sent it to, and I got a job from Universal Studios Singapore just from the video alone. Once again, a few months later, they flew me from Australia to Singapore, and I have been living here for about 6 months. I have another 6 months left. That's basically my experience. So obviously you can see I haven't worked for a bunch of different companies, so I'm obviously no professional when it comes to contract work or, you know, being a professional performer in any way. I'm still learning as I'm going along, but this is just my experiences and any kind of help or inspiration I can offer to other aspiring performers, singers, dancers, whatever. Usually contracts, like overseas contracts, because you are a specialty performer who's coming in from another country, become an expat in a different country. Ugh, that was a terrible description, I'm sorry. You get what I mean. So because you're getting flown in from another country to live in this foreign country, the pay is usually a lot higher than a job would be if you were working back in your home country. They will pretty much always offer you free accommodation, and most good jobs will offer you a living allowance, which means money that you can spend every day. It's just like an extra bump in your pay that would subsidize any extra living costs, like for food and transport and everything like that. And because you're coming in from another country, you get treated really well, you get looked after really well. Honestly, it's excellent. I really, really love it. There's so many pros towards working overseas on a contract. There are also a lot of cons, obviously. Not every country that you go to is like your favorite country or where you particularly want to live. Having to spend so much time away from your family and your friends and sometimes your partner. It's 100% the hardest part of the job because you often have to be away for Christmas or Thanksgiving or Easter, any big holiday for you. It's really hard around those times, and it's hard to not feel homesick. So it's not for everyone, this kind of job. But anyway, that's how I got my job here at Universal Studios Singapore and in Universal Studios Japan. A lot of the main big contracts that performers try to work for are theme parks. There's Universal Studios in Singapore and Japan. There's a few other smaller theme parks that aren't as well known, but I know that there's a few in Korea, I think Lotte World, but they're not as popular for contracts. And then of course there's Disneyland. Only Disneyland Paris, Tokyo, Hong Kong and Shanghai will employ foreigners. Disneyland in America obviously doesn't need foreign employees because everyone looks like me anyway, so they don't need to employ people from overseas. Other contract, company, thing, entity that people try to work for is cruise ships. There is so many cruise ship lines that are always looking for foreign talent to come in to be dancers, singers, specialty act. They have like comedians, they have ventriloquists, they have circus performers, and there's so many different companies as well. There's a lot more jobs than I ever fully realized. And there's also in Macau in China, there is a few dance troupes of mainly about 6 to 8 beautiful women that dance at the casinos. And there's also a few singing jobs there for some male singers, and they sing in a quartet. I'm probably missing so many of them, but these are just ones I can think of off the top of my head. A lot of this information can be found on the internet, but unless you really know about where the jobs are and who's in charge and stuff like that, it's actually surprisingly difficult to find the information. It's sometimes quite difficult to find out where the company is, who do I submit to. So I'll put a couple of the links below for Universal Studios Japan, Disneyland, Universal Studios Singapore, and a couple of cruise ship companies for any performers that want to know about their auditions or how to submit their video submissions. So I'll put all of those links in the description down below. So hopefully that'll be helpful to someone. If I had to give tips to any aspiring performers that would love to be working in a contract overseas, I would say hustle. Hustle is the most important part of any kind of industry, I think, but especially for performers, because there's not a lot of companies that are out there looking for you, like talent scouts like they all have in the movies. Usually you have to be the one to go out and find the job. So you have to hustle so hard, and that means going to class and working on your stuff and perhaps even creating something to get it noticed, putting it out there in the world, whether it's on Instagram or YouTube or Facebook or anything like that. And then that is, of course, going to the auditions, creating a video, show reel, sending it out to every single person that you can possibly imagine, and just keep on doing it, keep on doing it, keep on doing it until you get something. It's not always about what you can do, it's more about, unfortunately, I think what you look like is very high up there on the list. And then perhaps just below it is the people you know and the experience that you've already had. And then under that is what you can do. Sometimes when you go to an audition and you're literally perfect for the job, sometimes you just won't get it because that job isn't available at the time, or they already have that space filled by someone else. Maybe your hair is blonde and they really wanted brunettes, or maybe you're 5'7" and they wanted someone who was 5, you know? So it's really hard to, it's just a hard industry. So this contract will finish in August, and after that I have 0 plans. So from August onwards I'm pretty much unemployed unless I can find a job working somewhere else. But yeah, we'll see. We just gotta keep positive and keep hustling hard. Usually within a contract they'll have like internal auditions, which means if you already have a job then you can just audition in the company to continue on your job. But sometimes they don't even have re-auditions. They'll just say, you've been a great employee for this past contract, would you like to stay for another year, that kind of thing. But sometimes companies just don't do that. Sometimes they just say, sorry, you've been here for a while, we need fresh faces. So it's hard to plan your future when people say like, oh, where do you see yourself in 5 years? I'm like, I have no idea. I have zero idea where I'm gonna be in 5 years. Some contracts are quite short, they're only like 3 months. Some of them go to about 6 months is the general length of time for a cruise ship. Jobs like in theme parks, a lot of those jobs are 13 months long. It does kind of mean that you're only employed for like a relatively short amount of time, and then you've got to quickly find the next job. So it's hard to avoid like that little gap of unemployment between each job, really. And yeah, I think that's pretty much all I wanted to say in this video. I hope that this has helped some people, or possibly inspired some, or given a little bit of insight to any aspiring performers out there who would love to work this kind of job. As I said before, I will leave some links in the description down below of a couple of companies to audition for and places to send your show reel. Hopefully that'll be helpful to some of you out there to maybe just give like a little kickstart so that you know where to start looking for these jobs. Very soon, Universal Studios Singapore is auditioning in Australia, so please check out those auditions if you're around. It's a great company to work for. I hope this has been helpful for some of you, or at least given a little bit of insight into how I got to be here. As I said before, I'm obviously not a professional. I'm only 24, haven't been working in this industry for a really long time, but this is just what I have learned so far. I know I didn't do much exciting stuff in this video. It's just another talking one. I think I'll start a playlist soon of like talking videos and like travel vlogs and like actual vlogs, because this is definitely not a vlog. I don't know how to vlog. So once again, thank you for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more stuff like this, or travel vlogs, or just regular life on contract kind of vlogs, hit the subscribe button, and I will see you next time. Bye.